Hi, I want to just show you real quick how I make homemade butter. And I've told you guys before that I do this, and some of you go like, what? Yeah, it's really easy. And it impresses the grandbabies. Let me tell you what, they're going to think that you are even more amazing than what they believe you are. And trust me, they already believe that you are ultra amazing. But this is going to be impressive for them. So I've got a jug of heavy whipping cream that I was going to use on a recipe and changed my mind. And it's been sitting in my refrigerator for about a week, and I want to get it used up before I forget it completely. Not that I've done that before. Anyway, it's really easy. Let me show you how it's done, and you can make this and just be amazed at yourself. Let me just give you a quick heads up is that homemade butter is going to taste differently than the butter that you buy in the grocery store. It doesn't have the additives, the flavorings, the preservatives in it, so you're going to get a true butter taste. And if you've ever had your grandmother's homemade butter before, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let me show you how to do this real quick so that you can try it at home, and then when you do, let me know how it works out for you. Okay, so let me show you what you're going to need to do this. You're going to need your stand mixer. Now, you don't need to have it, I guess. If you had a jar and you wanted to sit there and shake the jar for 20 minutes, you'd still have butter, but it's a lot easier and quicker just to do it in your stand mixer. You're going to need heavy whipping cream. Heavy whipping cream, just right out of the store. I've got here in my pitcher, I've got some ice cold water. You're going to need that. Definitely you're going to need your splash guard if you have it. If you don't have it, you're going to need a couple of large towels. I'm still going to grab a couple of these small towels because this is going to get kind of sloppy towards the end. You'll see what I mean. But if you don't have a splash guard, get like a large clean bath towel that you can just be able to drape over this because it's going to splash around a bit, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So open up your cream, and you're just going to pour this into the bowl, making a mess. All right, and then put on your splash guard, and we're going to start it up. Now, I'm not going to add any salt to my butter because there's a few things I'm going to be doing with it that I would rather have unsalted butter for. It will last longer in the refrigerator than it will last with the family using it. Does that make sense? Probably not. But if you prefer salted butter, go ahead and add in maybe a tablespoon of salt to your taste. I don't care. I'm not telling you what to do. But I'm just showing you how I do mine, right? Okay, so lock it on your head, and now I'm going to turn this on and just let it start whipping. And I'm going to whip this like on medium speed, medium high. Okay, since you don't want to hear that for 5 minutes, let me just pause this and we'll come back in a second. Okay, so this is 2 minutes into whipping it, and it is already getting thick and foamy. So, what do we do now? We just keep whipping our creamer. Okay, so this is 4 minutes in, and we are now at this stage where we have basically whipped cream. You can see it's very light and fluffy, and it's peeking up nicely. So we're going to just keep on whisking this. Now, I want to show you how quickly this change happens. Scientifically, what you're doing is that you're moving the butter molecules back and forth and causing them to collide together and stick to one another, and that's what's going to cause those fat molecules sticking to each other is what's going to form our butter. It has a actual terminology to it. And it's been a term for centuries and centuries, and it sounds a bit dirty, but trust me, it's not. In that, you're wanting your butter to come, as in you're going to have your butter come on butter, because in older days, you can imagine this was a process. So once your butter comes, or once it is formed, it's going to happen quickly. So this is definitely where you want to have your splash guard on and have your towels handy here so that you can cover this area here. So if you don't have a splash guard, get a large towel and be ready to pull this down. So let's go ahead and keep beating our cream here. Okay, so this is that stage where it's starting to look like it has not turned out well. It's starting to separate and it looks like it's curdled, and you're going to think to yourself, oh my gosh, this isn't working. But this is exactly what you want to have happen. Exactly. Okay, we're about 10 minutes in, and I know it's loud, I'm sorry, but we're about to have some butter happening here. And I'm hoping to catch it on video so you can see just how quickly it turns into butter once those molecules have slammed into each other enough that they say, fine, we're all in this together. It turns into a lump of butter so fast once it happens. Okay. This is getting really thick and clumpy here, but it's not ready yet. It's not ready until that butter comes together. Okay, oh, it's getting messy. This is where you want to have your towels ready, because once this separates from the buttermilk, it gets a little sloppy here, kids. I don't know if you can see it here, start to just, well, you can see how my splash guard is pretty darn wet right now. So again, if you don't have a splash guard, get a big clean bath towel and get ready. Oh, there it goes. All right. Oh. Okay. I don't know if you guys could hear that. You hear that? That's when your butter has come together. So let me show you real quick what it looks like. So here's your butter collected on the beater. The whey and leftover water content from the cream is in your bowl. That is your true buttermilk. That is the buttermilk that Grandma used to use. That thick, creamy, low-fat stuff we get in the grocery store. Yeah, it's got some buttermilk in it, but it's not true buttermilk. So here's what we're going to do next. I want to run this just another quick minute just to get all that butter collected onto the beater. And as you can see, it has made a mess here. That's why I'm saying be prepared to get wet, or have your towels handy if you don't want to be covered in this. Hang on. Okay, so next what we're going to do is I'm going to strain off this buttermilk from the rest of the butter that's still in the bowl, and then we're going to need to rinse the butter, and I'll explain that here in just a second. Okay, so even with the towels and the splash guard, you're still going to get a little bit of a mess here. However, you can prevent that from being a whole lot of a mess having those towels ready. So be smart, be prepared. Okay, so most of the butter has collected around the beater, and that's really what you want. So I'm going to just take this and stick that there. And with my little strainer, can you guys see? I am not left-handed. However, it is National Left-Handed Day. So I'm going to pour off this buttermilk. There's the rest of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and wash out my bowl. Alrighty. Now, this strained butter is going to go back into your bowl, and my beater goes back into the bowl. And then here what you have is true buttermilk. If you're planning on making some biscuits to put your homemade butter in, save this and use this to make your biscuits. You can use it to marinate chicken in. You can use it to make pancakes. Any recipe that, my hands are clean. Any recipe that calls for buttermilk, you can certainly save this and absolutely use this, because this is the true buttermilk. You just have to remember that the thick, creamy stuff you get in the store it's only partially buttermilk, right? So, all right, let's get on with this butter making process here. Okay, so your next step here is to, you want to rinse your butter out, and that's where you need this ice cold water here. You can do this by hand, and I did it by hand for a long time until I realized I was working harder, not smarter. And you might have to rinse this 2 or 3 times. You want to rinse it until your rinse water becomes clear. The more milk that you leave in your butter, the more liquid milk part, the buttermilk part that you leave in your butter, the more chance it is that it's going to go bad quicker than it has to. Your butter should last you quite a long while. It really should. So we want to get as much of that milk liquid out of there as possible. So I've got my beater, my head locked. Let's turn the beater on. Oh, slow to begin with. And then I'm just gonna, I don't want the ice actually in there, so this little pitcher has a setting on it, I guess you could say, where it'll just let the fluid through and not the ice. Slow it down. Again, we're messy. It's messy, but it's not, you know, it's not like the messiest thing in the world. That cold water also helps the butter cling to itself. I'll get my splash guard out here in a minute. I just want to show you guys this. All right, so after what, 30 seconds or a minute or whatever, go ahead and shut this off and pull your head up. And we're just going to, I should get a little bowl. Excuse me. I don't necessarily want to take that beater head off. And then I'm going to pour this out. Okay, butter back in there. More ice water. I'm just putting enough ice water in just to kind of cover the butter. And then splash guard this time. And my towel, and rinse again. We're not beating the butter anymore, so this does not have to be done at a real high rate, but this water is just going to get everywhere pretty much. If you're not careful, if you're careful, it's not that big of a deal. Did I move you guys out of the way? No, you're fine. Okay. I don't mean to be rude or anything. All right, let's go ahead and shut that off. And we're going to raise the head up. And I'm going to go ahead and, whoops, drop it. Okay. Rinsing that out. I need to fill my jug up with a little bit more water. So, hang on just a second, folks, because I think I'll have this will be pretty clean here, and just one more rinse. Hang on. Okay. All right, this is the third rinse, and it is getting pretty darn clear, but I want to do it one more time just for my own peace of mind. All right, again, you might want to take a little bowl and stick it under there because it makes a mess when it drips if you don't. I totally did that on purpose just to teach you guys a lesson. Please don't make me do that again. Okay, so this is the fourth and final quick rinse here. Maybe 30 seconds just for peace of mind, actually, for me. So now we have, let me show you. My water is, I have my little bowl. I'm so proud of me. Okay, so you can see our water is pretty darn clear here at the end of it. We got a few globules of butter on it, but we don't have the milk, the whey left into it, and that's what will make your butter go rancid quick. So once you get a clear rinse like that, you're going to be good to go. Now, I'm going to actually just let this butter hang for a minute. I don't want too much water left in it, just because who wants watery butter? Yuck. So I'm just going to leave it in the beater, drip it into this little bowl, and here in a few minutes, once it quits beating, I'll show you a little what I'm going to do with part of this. Altogether, we've been maybe working on the butter for, without the stopping and resetting and stopping and resetting, probably about 20 minutes. So it doesn't take that long, relatively speaking. And again, if you've got your kids or your grandkids or your nieces, nephews, whatever, hanging out at your house, this is just a fun activity to do with them. Teach them a little bit about science and how things used to be done. And all right, let me hang this butter for just a minute. It's already quit dripping, but just give it another minute and then we'll move on. Okay, so I left that butter hanging on the whisk for about 10 minutes, and then I have taken it and just kind of given it a gentle squeeze with my hands just to get any other water off of it. The water's not going to hurt it. Again, it's the milk in there that is going to make it go rancid quicker than you would want it to. So there we have a little well-squeezed patty of butter, or whatever shape you want to squeeze it in. If you have an old butter press, try that. I don't have one. I have a plastic one, but I don't like it so much because it's not pretty like an old one. So there's my butter. This is going to make about 2 cups out of that quart of whipped cream. And I've saved a little bit back. I want to give you a little bonus feature and show you what I'm going to do with this little tiny bit of butter here. Okay, I took about a half a cup of that butter I made, and I reserved it because I want to make some honey cinnamon butter for toasting that in the morning. So I've got about that little half a cup, and to that I'm going to add a half a cup of honey, and I try to keep a local honey on hand because once school starts during the winter, any time of the year, if you have kiddos with problems with allergies or frequent flu-like illnesses, local honey will help keep those symptoms down to a minimum. It's a natural antibiotic. You can actually take honey and put it on a cut or a burn, and it will actually help the healing process. The more you know. Okay, so now here I've got about a half a cup of powdered sugar. I'm going to add in here to my butter and honey. So I've got half a cup of butter, a half a cup of honey, a half a cup of powdered sugar. And now I'm going to add about I'm going to start out with a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon because it's easier to put the cinnamon in than it is to take it out. All right, lock my head. I want to get that all worked together. But start slowly because it will fly up in your face, and that's not what you want. Okay. You can do this with regular store-bought butter too, but just a little bonus feature here. Beat it well enough that it's all incorporated. All that butter is, you don't have any globs of butter left into it. It just takes a few minutes to get it all nice and smooth and incorporated. Okay, that just took a few minutes. And now what you have is, you're doing this backwards, Linda, so you're having special challenges. All right, now I'm just going to take my little jar here. I have a messy workstation. Surprise. And this has actually turned into a very smooth, creamy, delicious. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Okay. So now I'm just going to fill up my little jar I got here. Oh, I dare you to try this, ladies. Oh my gosh, that is really good. Yes, you saw me. I washed this counter down. I know what's been on it and what hasn't. And we're just friends here. So, no judgy. Okay, I got a little bit too much for that, but there we go. Honey butter in this little jar. Wipe off my edges. And then my lid goes on. And you keep that around and give that to your grandkids on their toast when they come to visit. And when they go home, they'll say, Mom, can I have some cinnamon butter toast? And Mom will say, sure. And she'll make a piece of toast. She'll spread some butter on it, maybe sprinkle some cinnamon. And your grandbabies will say, that's not the real stuff. Grandma makes it so much better. So there you go, ladies. Happiness in a little jar. I know this was a long video. Thanks for hanging out with me. It's just something fun I like to do. And give it a whirl. Get your kids together and give it a whirl and have a little bit of fun.